Hello, everyone. Mhm. Oh, wow. Quite a few of you. Okay. So welcome to webinar number 3. And yeah, so let me just, okay. Today it's quite an unusual webinar. I don't know if you've been to my other 2 webinars. The webinars are recorded. So I have done 2 webinars, and you can find them here on our YouTube channel. The COMPOS'24 Year 10 webinars. So we have 2 of them already recorded. So you need to go to playlists. I'll copy this and paste it in the chat for everyone. And you need the COMPOS 2024 Year 10 webinars. So that's where you'll find the 2 webinars that already have been recorded. So the first one is on quadratics. The second one is on hydrostatics. So the 2 topics that I've done. Today, I'm going to go through your questions. So you can ask me any questions. Ideally, that in the first half of the session, you ask me questions about the assignment. And at the end, I will be happy to answer general questions about COMPOS if you want to know anything. I will try to copy the questions onto the board so you can see them, and I will answer them. I'll just open the 2 assignments. So I have them in front of me. And shoot. So if you have a question, I won't be able to. Yeah, you can ask questions about the questions on the assignment. Yes, you are allowed to do that. I'll judge whether I can answer them. Okay. So the first question. In question 4 of the physics assignment, does the want the percentage or volume? Let's have a look. And so COMPOS assignments year 10 physics, and we also need the maths as well. I'll close these. Oh. Okay. Does that work? Question 4. Estimate how much the water level will. No, it wants it in meters. Meters. So the answer is you need to use meters. Okay. What is a function? Oh, that's a tough one to answer. Well, a function gives you a function has an input and an output. It's sort of a rule. So this is a function. You have an input and an output. For example, you can have a function of x, which is x squared plus 2x minus 1. So this is the input, and this is the output. So for example, if the input for this particular function is if input is 1, the output is going to be 1 squared plus 2 minus 1, which is 2. So we can say that this function, the input, if the input is 1, the output is 2. So yeah, when we say okay. Right, so yeah, so this is the input and this is the output. So in physics, a function, for example, h of t, is a function that tells you the height of an object at any given time. It's a function, the input is the time, and the output is the height. I hope that makes sense. On problem 4, calculate the surface area of the oceans or the volume. Well, you need the volume, of course. Oh, wow. What is a function? I don't understand number 15, 15, 18 in the maths. 15 to 18 in the maths. Okay, I'll answer the remaining questions. Are we allowed to use a calculator in the physics paper? Yes. You can use a calculator. You can use anything you want, except the help of someone else. You can't get someone else to do your problems for you. You can discuss though. You can discuss the problems with someone, but not that somebody else does it for you. The problem for physics: should we calculate surface area of the oceans or the volume? You need the volume, of course, but the answer should be given in meters, as in the level increase. For uploading, can we upload the whole file at once? Or just have to be per question? Please do it per question, because we are expecting a lot of submissions. So please do it by question. Can I write kilogram per meter? So basically, if you do it the whole thing, we probably won't see because the person who is going to mark your work only sees one question. So if question 6 is empty, you would get 0 for question 6. Okay. Can I write kilogram per meter to the power 3? It doesn't matter. Yeah, whatever you like, we will understand everything. So it doesn't whichever way is preferable for you. Will we lose marks on the math assignment if we solve the equation using a different method? If the question tells you to do it in a particular method, then yes. If the question doesn't specify what method to use, then you use any method you like. Okay. Only if the question requests a specific method. Right, it's neither. How much does the ocean rise? Okay, I would solve finding the volume and surface area assuming the formula. That's something in the correct direction, yes. So volume over surface area. Do any questions use imaginary numbers? No, no questions use imaginary numbers. That's a big no. That's a no. Are we allowed to calculate in maths? If it helps, yes, but you can't base your answer on the calculator. You can't say the answer is 2 because the calculator said so, right? You need to show you're working. Yes, but show you're working. Show working. If you have a third which cannot be simplified further, should we leave it as third or convert it to decimal? Yes, third. Leave third. But we won't mark you down for using decimals. Yes. Third. What happens when we get in? What happens when we get? Okay, I would really like to answer questions about the physics and maths. What happens when we get, if we get in? You get a tutor. You will have weekly tutorials in groups of 8, roughly 8 students. Okay. When we write the density in kilograms per cubic meter, what is the minus show? Well, it's not. Yeah, it's the negative sign is just that it's on the bottom. So you can write kilogram meter to the power minus 3, or you can write kilogram per cubic meter. So the minus replaces the dash, the division sign. I don't understand problem 3 on the physics about Venus. Okay, let's have a look. Problem 3. About 75% of the atmosphere surrounding Venus is found within 20 kilometers of the surface. Beyond this point, it thins considerably. The radius of Venus is about, estimate the mass of the atmosphere. So basically what it tells you is that the atmosphere is only 20 kilometers. You can ignore anything above 20 kilometers. So what you need is to find this. If you accidentally ask someone to unmute, ignore that request, please. And you just imagine that this is 20 kilometers. You need to find the volume of the atmosphere. You need to figure out a way to find the volume of the atmosphere. Okay. So you know the radius of the planet. So this is the planet. Yeah. Estimate the atmosphere. So you need the volume. How many decimal places do we put answers to? Doesn't really matter. General rule is 3 or exact. 3 sig figs or exact value. Sorry, I missed the start. Can we ask how to do specific questions? Yes. When we're using quadratic formula and the calculator, do you want every step written out? Well, no, as long as it's clear what you're doing. When you're using quadratic formula in the calculator, do you want every step written out? As long as it's clear what you're doing. So using the formula and then substituting. So as long as you understand that you know what to do with it, that you know what you're doing. So for question 4, we're calculating the height of the volume it rises by. We're calculating the height in meters. You can do other units. It doesn't have to be meters specifically. Why does 2 containers of different shapes have the same height of water or have different weight but the same pressure at the bottom? That's a good point. That is one of the questions. Well, that is the paradox that you're trying to solve. So you have 2 containers with different weight of the water, different mass of the water, but obviously the same pressure at the bottom. The pressure at the bottom is rho GH, which is density of the water times G times the height, which is the height, this. So in both cases, the pressure on the bottom would be the same. Pressure is rho GH. Then you need to explain how come the pressure is the same, but the weight is obviously different, because the first one is a bigger bucket. And you can also do an extreme case. You could say you have a container that looks like this and a narrow tube like this. So this is filled with liquid. So the pressure on the bottom is also rho GH. And so it's exactly the same, even though this water has a very small mass. But as long as the height of the water is the same, the pressure on the bottom is the same. So that's a tough question, right? Honestly, it is tough. One of the examples, let's see. I think one of the examples talks about it. And yeah, Pascal's paradox, example 4. So the solution is in example 4. So yeah. So the answer to problem 9 is sort of given in example 4. So explain 15 and 18 in maths. I will. Okay, let's do that. Right, so maths. So 15, well, you just need to find the equation of the parabola. So you have a picture, you need to find the equation. So I don't know how I can make that more clear. When you say find A, B, and C, that means just you have y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So let's say y is x squared plus 3x plus 4. That means a is 1, b is 3, c is 4. So, okay. Find the parameter that we see the graph passes through the point that has a vertex at this. Well, I can show you one thing. If you go to Desmos and you write down y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, and you can add sliders, you can change a, b, and c. You can change a, and look what happens to the parabola. When you change a, look what happens to the parabola when you change b, and look what happens when you change c. So basically, if you can figure out what each does, you can work out the A, B, and C. Hope that helps. Sketch the curves. Well, you can do them point by point if you want, but yeah, same set of axes. An object is thrown upwards, their height is thrown. Well, this was the function. This was the function thing that you input the time. So, for example, if t is 3 seconds, then h of t, which is h of 3, is 20 plus 12 times 3 minus 5 times 3 squared, which gives you 36. 56 minus 45, 11 meters. That means after 3 seconds, the object is at a height of 11. And by substituting every value of t, you can work out the height at any given time. So you could figure out t and height. So we know that after 3 seconds, 1, 2, 3. After 3 seconds is going to be at height of 11. You can repeat that for 4 seconds, for 5, etc. So basically it tells you where the object is at any given time. All right. Okay. Can we do... Yeah, physics paper. Question 4 in the physics paper. I've started with this, but I might come back to this. Can we get kicked out? Well, if you don't do the assignments, if you get a place at Compos and you don't do the assignments, yes, we will try to give you a place to someone else. In maths, what do we do when the question asks to generalize? Well, so generalize means get a general solution. Generalize, give answer for a wider range of problems. I don't know if that helps. Let's example. If x squared equals 9, then x equals plus or minus 3. We can generalize this. This, saying that if x squared is something, x squared is a, then x is plus or minus root a. So this only works for 9. This is a example. It works with 9, but this works with any positive number. Works with any positive number. Or 0. It also works with 0. This is what generalize means. Does that help? Irish. In question 15 in physics, the cavity is the cavity a vacuum, or does it have something like an air inside it? Because it's specified, it doesn't say it's empty. 15. There's no question 15 in physics. Physics has 14 questions. What are you talking about? Is that cavity? Problem 13, I think you meant. An aluminium ball has an empty spherical cavity inside it when placed in a container. Yeah, you can assume it's vacuum. It doesn't really matter. Air is so not dense compared to aluminium. It's literally 2,700 times less dense than aluminium. So, yeah, vacuum. Let's go with vacuum. Thank you. That makes sense. Please explain problem 8 and 9 in physics. Okay. 8 and 9. Where's 8? Can't see it. Oh. Okay. So for this one, you need example 4. So see example 4. See example 4. 4. Or do research. Or research. That helps. Yeah. What dimensions are needed if a long circular tube of 1 liter can shatter 50-liter glass in the video clip? So basically, in the video clip, you had a flask and a very thin tube. And we know that we need 1 liter. So the volume of the water in that tube is 1 liter. So to find the pressure, to find the pressure, it depends on rho GH, right? So you can find H. And then you need to find the dimensions. That means the diameter, basically. They're asking for the diameter. Find diameter of the narrow tube. That's what you need to do. How will that group of 8 people be decided? Means it depends on the marks. Can we get this assignment or random? The people who get into COMPOS will get assigned a group based on the marks they get in the assignment. Yes. Based on marks. Based on marks. Previously, you needed 50% in physics and maths to get in. This year it might be slightly more, but we can't predict anything at the moment. The entrance, yeah, it was always 50, except for year 12 last year when it was 56, I think, or 58. But generally speaking, if you get more than 50% of the marks, then you get in. Typically, I can't promise anything. Can you please explain question for again? Well, you have an ocean. Let's say an ocean is like a big lake, right? And a big lake can be thought of like a big swimming pool. And this is the depth, H, and area. So the volume is area times height. And then when it heats up, or whatever happens, when the volume increases, you can calculate the new height because the area doesn't change. Okay. Question 3A in maths. Question 3A in maths. I don't think I can do a good job of explaining this question without giving away the answer. So I think the answer would be no. Except what I can say is do trial and error. Trial and error. Do trial and error and see what helps. So sorry about that, because me giving you a help on this just means giving away the answer. So can't do that. What is a surd? Yeah, it's a root. What is a surd? It's anything containing square roots. So for example, 2 plus root 3, or root 7, 2 over root 3. All these are examples of surds. For problem 2 on the physics, do we have to state which liquid metal it is? Let's see. Physics problem 2. Okay, that's... Okay. That doesn't help. Problem 2. Calculate the density. Yeah, you need to say what the material is. Yeah. Sorry, but you we're allowed to write kilogram meters cube rather than kilograms per. Yes, you can write kilograms per cubic meter or kilogram meter to the power minus 3. It doesn't matter. Can you create problem 12 in maths? 12 in maths. Substitution or completing the square? I'd say substitution. Okay. Substitution plus completing the square. The square. Will this be on YouTube? It depends on how it goes. I sometimes decide not to publish these because I'm giving quite direct hints on problems, but probably. But yeah, if the gravity and V is needed for, is the gravity and V is needed for problem 7? No, I don't. For problem 7, let's have a look. I don't think you need the gravity units. Find the mass of it. You do. You do. Ah, interesting. I didn't notice this before. I will have to make changes. you will need to use the gravity on Venus. We need to find the gravity on Venus. Thank you. I'll make a note of that. Problem 7. Add gravity on Venus. I think what happened is that this question used to be about the Earth, and we assume we know the gravity on Earth, and then we changed it to Venus, and suddenly now it's a much harder problem because you don't know the gravity on Venus. So thank you for pointing that out. I will change that, but please could you explain question 3 on the physics paper? Problem 13. Well, it's a double star question, means it's an extra hard question. And inside it. When placed into a container with fresh water, the ball sinks and the net force is 0.24. So you have the weight and the buoyancy force, the upthrust, and they're saying in fresh water, the weight minus upthrust is 0.24, and in petroleum, weight minus upthrust is 0.33. Well, you just need to use the formula for the weight and the upthrust. So the weight is mass times gravity, and the upthrust is rho vg, right? So you calculate those and you substitute here, and then you solve for m, I guess. And once you find m, you can work out the volume of the metal because we know the density of aluminium, and that way you will be able to find the volume of the cavity. Hope that helps. Can we go through problem 7 on physics? 7 on physics. Find the mass of Venus's atmosphere. Well, it's the same as problem 4. It's just in a different manner. So for problem 7, you do need the gravity on Venus. Gravity on Venus. What's the gravity on Venus? 8.87. Oh, nice. It's not that far off. 8.87 kilogram per meter. What? Good. So newtons per kilogram. Okay. So you can use that. What I can say for this one, imagine. Oh, well, I mean, there's a hint. The surface area of a sphere is that. So that's the area. And pressure and area are linked. Okay. Get through 6. Okay. 7, that's the density. Well, the difference in pressure is rho GH. So the pressure here and the pressure here. So the PL is greater than the PG. So PL is greater than PG, and PL minus PG is rho GH. You can use that. Rho GH is the density. The rho is the density of the liquid. The cavity in right. It's too much of a hint. PL is greater than PG by the pressure of liquid. The cavity in question 3 is a vacuum. Does it have something empty? Oh. What do we need to include when sketching a graph? Do we need to add, for example, the intercept, the y-intercept? Preferably, yes, if you know it, add it. The more information you have, the more likely you get to get the marks. What is the amount of marks you need to get in? More than 50%. If we get below 50, does that mean we would not get in? Typically, yes. But look, we will accept 450 students this year, and we don't know. The deadline is Thursday. We don't know how many applicants we will have, right? Because we have 3,000 people registered, but not all of them will send us something. We have more applicants this year than last year, but not dramatically more. It's like maybe 50% more. I don't understand question 18D in the maths. 18D. 18D. Okay. In 2 seconds, I traveled 20 meters. In 1 second, I traveled 12 meters. In 0.1 seconds, I traveled 2 meters. So what's my in the first 2 seconds, my speed is 10 meters per second, right? But in the first 1 second, it's 12 meters per second. In 0.1, that's 20 meters per second. And in 0.001 seconds, I traveled at 0.2 meters. And so my speed is also 20 meters per second. So it looks like I started moving at 20 meters per second, then my speed decreased. So if my velocity, and this is time, I started off with 20, and then my speed was decreasing. So if I want to know how fast I was moving, I have to see how far did I move in the first 2 seconds, or how much they're moving this. And then the smaller the interval you take, the closer you get to the initial speed. Hope that makes sense. In the maths, if I wrote the answer something like, is that okay? Should I write 5x? The second is better, but it doesn't really matter. Both are fine. Are fine, but this is better. Better. Because if you factorize, right? You don't leave it halfway. What does A with a dash mean? Oh, what with a not equal? Yes, like a not equal 1. That means not equal. And can someone explain what to do in question 6, please? Physics. Yeah, that's what I mentioned. How many seats are there in COMPOS program? So there 450 in total, so approximately 100 and between 100 and 120 in each group, in each year group. What level does a COMPOS question reach? University entrance level and a little bit beyond. A level, yes. So do we just show the how to go from to the second? So do we just show how to go from ax squared bx to the second formula? I'm not sure what this question is. Can you explain question 12 in maths? 12 in maths. Oh yeah, I've explained that. So you need substitution and completing the square. So basically, yeah, you just need completing the square here, and then hopefully it will look like something you can do. Can we do we need to include when sketching a graph? Oh, yes, ideally. COMPOS for everyone, only kids, free school meals and disabilities. Right, so yeah, anyone that gets in, yes. We have a slightly different criteria for different groups of students, but yeah, we last year accepted everyone who got 50% or above. Okay, so this year might be slightly higher. We know for question 7 that quadratic equation with something to the power of 4 is a hidden quadratic. For question 7, that a quadratic equation with something to the power of 4 is a hidden quadratic. Yeah. 50% in physics or math combined or separate? Separate, but we will consider combined as well, but again, depending on numbers. Like a 50-50 student would get in before a 60-40 student, and even before a 62-42 student. Okay, so a 50-50 student has a better chance of getting in than 62-42. For question 4 in physics, do we need to search up the amount of water on Earth? No, you don't. Oh, unless you do. Let me double check. I'm doing 4-year groups at the same time. Oh, we tell you it's 71% of the Earth's surface. So the Earth's surface is something you can figure out from the radius of the Earth. So yeah, what of 3b? What of 3b in maths? 3b. Yeah. Well, if you solve A, you will automatically solve B. Okay. Just think of how to solve A. If you solve A, you will solve B. And can you please explain question 11 in physics? 11 in physics. Okay, that's a good one. So a good diagram always helps. So you have a stone pillar. And it's in the water. Now, when it's in the water, there's an upthrust force. But you pull it with a tension force up. You pull, 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 pull. But as it gets out of the water, the upthrust force decreases because the water doesn't push it out anymore, and the tension force increases. So the upthrust force decreases and tension increases. And at some point, when it's halfway out of the water or whatever, it's when it's mostly out of the water, the tension gets so big that the rope breaks, rope snaps. So what you need to do is remember the formula for U, formula for U for the upthrust force, and how it depends on this volume. Yeah, it depends on the volume. You will need to consider what volume is underwater. And by that, the third force is the weight, though the weight doesn't change. So the upthrust changes, the upthrust becomes smaller, the weight doesn't change, the tension force increases. And at some point, it breaks. And you always have that the forces are always balanced. That's a very important one. Assume forces are balanced. That's important. Okay, so I hope you understand what balanced forces are. So if you have 20, 10, and 10, that's balanced, right? 10 newtons, 10 newtons, 10 newtons. Hope that helps. Can you explain problem 9? I have already submitted. I want to redo a question. Yes, you can. You can when you submitted the work, you received an email, and the email contains all your answers. You can go into that email and you can edit your submission. So you can add an extra file, for example. Can you explain problem 9 in maths? Have I not done it? Problem 9. So look, what we have the Vieta formulae that x1, x2 is C, and x1 plus x2 is minus B. But this is only if A equals 1. If A is not equal to 1, it's going to be a different formula. x1, x2 equals something, and x1 plus x2 equals something. So you need to work out what that something is. Okay. You can use the quadratic formula, for example, because you know how to find x1 and x2. Right. Hope that helps. Can you solve it, please? Okay. Okay. Question 6 on the physics paper, does absolute pressure mean we should add atmospheric pressure? Question 6. Is that the... Yes. That means find the absolute pressure. Can you zoom in? Zoom in on what? Sorry. If you write down some working but don't find the answer, you can get some marks. Yes, you will. You won't get marks for getting places for writing the correct formula, for example. How do you write x cannot be real? How can you write something that x cannot be real? That's a good question. You can write this. You can say that x belongs to an empty set. That's one thing. Or you can say x does not belong to the set of real numbers. X belongs to empty set. Or you could just say no solutions. No solutions. That's the one way of doing it. 2, 3. For question 7, I searched up the gravity of Venus, and is that okay? Yes, that is perfectly okay. And we encourage you to look things up. Yes. Do we have to use completing this curve for problem 12 if it doesn't specify? If it doesn't specify, then no. Well, of course, we want you to do it by completing the square, but how else would you do it? If not by completing the square, how else? Yeah, you don't have to use completing the square, sorry. That's fine. Do you think you could share a link to the Miro board? Okay, yes, thank you. This hopefully this won't be on you. I don't think a reason why I wouldn't put this on YouTube. Maybe removing some stuff later on, but yeah. Well, after it ends, it was done fairly quickly. When the webinar recording we put on YouTube, I prefer, yes, I tend to do it on the same day. We're allowed to search up real world constants. Yes, you are. Problem 14, physics. How many questions are there? 30. Oh, wow, 37 questions. I was hoping to be done in an hour. There's no chance. Problem 14. Wow. You just need the forces, right? So you need the forces acting. Equal amount of water. What are you interested in? Well, you're interested on the scales, right? So you would probably look at the scales and what forces act on the scales. So there's the pressure from the liquid, the force from the liquid. There's the force from the beaker. There's the tension from the rope. And then you do the same here because the rope is pulling up, and similar here. So what are the forces doing? This is one way of doing it. You could also consider the whole can. Just draw the can. So what are the forces acting on the can? So there's the normal reaction force, there's the weight here. Okay. So I don't know. Edit, try it out. Do an experiment. I mean, why not? In the equation, pressure, rho, gravity, height is the pressure the pressure that can take, or the max pressure that can exert it on the object. Rho gravity height is the pressure on the bottom of the container. Rho GH is the pressure on the bottom of the container. So you have the container and you have water liquid, or it's a liquid level H. So the pressure on the bottom is rho GH. What is the limit of information we're allowed to look up for the physics such as gravity densities? Look up whatever you can. Look, your markers are, the people marking your work have been instructed to grade grade generously in terms of how much have you moved towards the answer. Okay, so you can look things up. That's fine. Thursday at midnight. That is Thursday 23:59. So you have all of Thursday to do it. And we will accept work until midnight on Friday. Thursday 23:59. It's possible to obtain question 14b in maths. Minute is the deadline. Question 14b in maths. I'll post that question here. Deadline. For the initial speed. Yeah, you can use 0.01 or 0.001 to describe the gravity. We can use the gravity of Venus. Yes. If you don't show your working, but you get the right answer, you use mark or get full marks. You might lose marks. If you don't show any working, you probably don't get any marks at all. Okay. So no working usually means no marks. Not always. Like in the question 1 in maths, obviously you can just give the answer. That's fine. I'm sorry, but keep mixing somehow. Are we allowed to write? Yes, you can write either way. Yes, keep missing it. Either way. Either. Can you go over 3 in physics? Okay, do we use the area of a sphere? 3, what is 3? Maybe. What's the pass mark? Alright, when does Zoom class? 7:30. What do we expect? Do we need to include when sketching? Do we need to add, for example, the y-intercept? Ideally, yes. If you can. Yes, if you can. You can. In question 8 of physics, do we use the density of the water or of the glass? Let's have a look. Is the x and 3x? No. The x and 3b and 3a is not the same. No. Please do problem 9 on the maths. Well, I've gone through that. 3b in maths. Yeah, I think the hints given are like more than enough. Question 11 does it say the density of these? Yeah, 1,000. Water is always you can always assume water is 1,000, or you can look up the salt water. Either one is fine. So yes. Can you explain Vieta's formulae? I've done this. I've done this in the second webinar, so please watch this webinar. Please watch webinar 2. Watch webinar 02, which is left and right in question. Which is left and right in question 14 in physics. Ooh. Well, left and right. Like left is left, right is right. Like left, right, left, right. Okay. Yeah, good sure everybody cooking to maths. Excellent. Just tested physics. Ooh, nice, nice. And what was the result? Scale on the water in the jug. Is the maths in the maths in some of the first questions I wrote the answer as decimals, but I should. But should I just leave them as surds? It's better to leave them as surds, but if you've already submitted, don't worry. Don't worry too much about it. We will accept both decimals and surds, but we prefer surds. It's just a nicer, it's good practice if when you go to university, you would be expected to do it in surds. Surds are better. I was wondering whether if the marker can't read your handwriting, do we quickly to do with quickly drawn working out. Where there is a marker can't read your handwriting. I can't comment on this. it's try to make it legible. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt in most cases. But yeah. Calculate problem 12 maths by looking for a hidden quadratic. Yeah, hidden quadratic is a good way of doing it. Let's average maths 14b, please. Okay, it seems like I won't be able to get to the end. Oh, okay. The question I do is going to show how we can rearrange to get the formula next to it. Or do we have to do anything else? Question 11, is that the generalized question? Yes, you can rearrange that. Yes. How you can get from here to here. For question 3, do we write the answer as a number of x and y? Okay, yes. We managed to get in with manageable forward schoolwork. That's a good question. We expect you to do 3 to 5 hours a week. So you are the judge. What we found is that if you what we found that if you can do compos, school becomes really easy, right? So we expect 3 to 5 hours per week. But if you can keep up with compos, school becomes cool stuff becomes really easy. Becomes easy. All right. I will. Please don't post the answers. Oh, that's a direct message. Giving me. Would it lose marks on completing the square form? I didn't specify. But you just did. You have just completed the square. Like the first line, what you've written, you have already completed the square. Sorry, I can't post that question because it contains an answer to one of the questions, but yeah. That is for you answering your question, Wendy. Can we leave midway through the year in Compos? Ideally not, because look, once you get in, once you get in, we pay for your place, right? Your place costs us about £975. Okay, it costs us £975 per place. So if you leave and we can't find, it's really hard to find somebody in mid-year. So basically, please think carefully before joining. We'd rather have someone who wants to stay until the end of the year. Okay. Coming back to this, and that's why, and that's how much we charge students from abroad or students from private schools. Okay. I'm answering the 4 questions, and I won't be taking any more questions on the assignments. Okay. And but I will be able to answer any questions related to compos. So 14B in maths. Well, 14B it has one root in 2 scenarios. So a quadratic equation, has one root if the discriminant is 0. I'm underlining the word quadratic because if the equation is not quadratic, this rule doesn't apply. So you need to be careful with this, right? Quadratic is one root. If it's not quadratic, then this rule doesn't work. So you need to find the discriminant. Discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. So you just need to work that out. And yeah. Can you go over 3 on physics? Well, we've been over this. So you just need to find the volume. on the volume of the atmosphere. So you can assume that this is the planet, this is the atmosphere. I don't know, you can use the volume of the sphere if you wish. There's another way of doing it. Yeah, just for what is V? Question 8 on physics, do we use density of the water or the glass? 8 in physics. Water. Yeah, water. Density of the glass doesn't really matter. Like, how would the density of glass affect the answer? No, it doesn't. Maths 14b. Maths 14b. Oh, we already had this. Okay. Just a few more questions on the. Can we leave midway through the end? Okay. For completing the square questions, can we use other equations to find the answer? You can, but if you are not using the method that we ask you to use, you might lose marks. But once again, it's if the question does not request a specific method, then you're fine. Fine. Okay. After the result gets released, we'll get individual marks too. Yes. Yes. Will the assignment be given every 3-4 weeks be like the 2 papers we are doing now, or will be different topics, but same level of difficulty? Well, actually, it will get slightly more difficult towards the end. If we get below, yes. If we get in, will the lectures be? Okay, that's a good question. Sorry, what was D equals for explanation 14 math? D equals 0 means discriminant is 0. And the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. Okay. How does the topics apply to engineering? Well, a lot of the topics are directly related to engineering. Yes. So all of mechanics is just part of engineering. Yes. Would you say that general physics is a big part of engineering? I wouldn't say that. Maybe engineer. Oh yes, you can say that. Yes, physics is a big part of engineering. Yes, so is maths. Would you say engineering COMPOS program is fun but a bit stressful? That's what our students say. So some of you will get. Well, let me do scores. Yes. I'll just copy the questions. That's how you meant to solve the questions. First few questions by inspection. Yeah. Yes. By inspection. The last one. Will still be webinars? Right. Okay. That's the end of the questions. I will answer these questions, but I won't take any more. Okay. Okay. Last question. That's a good one. This is the last question that I'm taking. I will answer all of these. After the results are released, we'll get individual marks too. Yes, in the form. We won't be able to give you written feedback, but yes, you will get the grades. Yes, grades will be visible. In forms, Google Forms. Well, the assignment given in 3 weeks, every 4 weeks. 4 weeks. Similar level, similar to assignment 1. Assignment 1. You will have 10 assignments overall. 10 overall. That's 10 physics plus 10 maths. If we get below 50 and we have the option to keep doing COMPOS but a different, yes, below 50, you can go follow along. Follow along. You will get an automatically. You will get automatic invitation. If we get in, will the lectures be? I think that's the same question as will there be webinars? This is the same question. So the lectures, so my webinars, so if you go to COMPOS website and webinars, you click on year 10, and here's the timetable. So here's the timetable of webinars. So next webinar is 21st of October. That's, sorry, I can't do that because I will be away that day. So I will change that. So unless I find someone to cover me, I will move that to a different day. So keep that in mind. Lectures. So these are the webinars, the lectures. I like to call them lectures for some reason. But also you will have tutorials in small groups every week with a tutor. And some of our tutors are ex-COMPOS students. So we have 5 or 6, I don't remember now, 5 or 6 tutors who were students, who were like you. And they can tell you all about COMPOS and all about getting into Oxford. Because 50% of our first cohort went into Oxbridge, which is quite cool. How does the topics apply to engineering? Yeah, most of them. So if you look at these, engineering certainly, engineering, yeah. Maybe less of that. Yeah, definitely engineering. 3 engineerings for this one. Geometric constructions, sometimes just dash, like half an E. Conservation of momentum, engineering definitely. My wife is an engineer and she does that in her daily routine. Internal energy, that's a definitely engineering topic. Sequence progressions in series, okay, maybe not this one. So yes, a lot of the topics are related to engineering. Would you say that in general COMPOS program is fun, is a bit stressful? That's what our students say, yes. So it can be stressful, but you get a lot out of it. We train you how to think, how to problem solve, okay? You might have seen that COMPOS questions are very different from school questions. We tend not to give you structure. You're expected to come up with the solution. And most of our problems have more than one solution, so yeah. Do we get feedback on our scores? Just the scores, But from assignment 02 to 10, you will get written feedback from your tutors. Because your tutor will be marking your work, not the first assignment though. The first assignment is the entrance assignment. In maths, how are you just meant to solve the first question of extent? Yes. Okay, thank you very much for your attention. Yes, I hope this was useful. I'll probably do one more Q&A session mid-year. Right, not obviously not next week, but yes, and please note that I will have to change the date because on the 21st I will be in Oxford in the evening, so I won't be able to do the webinar. Okay, I'm actually going to see a lecture by no other than Richard Dawkins. So yeah, so something I look forward to. And biology always just flew past me, so that's going to be interesting. All right, see you. One other question on my row. Oh yes, okay. Will the compass help us getting to Oxford when the time comes? Compass will teach you the physics that you need. Compass will teach you the skills that you need to do the PAT and the interview. Just writing down Compos on your application doesn't necessarily equate to you getting in, but the skills that you will be able to demonstrate certainly will. And as I said, 50% of Compos 2023 graduates went to Oxbridge. This is astonishingly good. It's not because we are so good; it's because they are so good, of course. But I like to think we had a input, and because they come back and they become tutors, that shows that well we're doing something good. Okay. All right. You're welcome. If you submitting your assignments for year 10 secures a spot for year 11. So if you get if you do the assignments in year 10, at least 75% of them, then you automatically transfer to year 11, and so on. Okay. All right. Have a good evening, and see you in. Well, I'll let you know when. It's either next week or the week after. Okay. All right. Bye.